Jesse Beltran, Matt Guthrie, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Always.
It's already March 1st in this bitch. Can you believe that shit?
No.
I was like, holy fuck. I can't believe how fast this year is going already. Yeah, so you guys have both been very busy since the last time I seen you. We catch up like basically every 3 to 4 months. I know Jesse's been overseas filming something. Can you fill us in on that?
Yeah, actually, a couple of projects. I was overseas in St. Albans in the UK.
Wait, real quick. First, introduce yourselves real quick. So just give you a quick background.
Okay. My name is Jesse Beltran. I'm currently the president of Cosmic Clarity Connections, where MindNexusLive.com is our brand. I am a independent investigator, TSCM-certified, which is Technical Surveillance Countermeasures expert. And I have been documenting and following domestic civilian cases of Havana Syndrome. And Havana Syndrome has been in the forefront lately, and it seems like that topic is showing up everywhere these days. Mm-hmm. But I have the largest independent database of civilian sufferers here in the United States, and I travel the world globally, helping people who say they are experiencing or believe they're experiencing the phenomenon of anomalous health incidences or Havana Syndrome.
Yeah, and so Jesse, if you guys didn't catch his first podcast he did with me, I don't remember what number it was, probably like around 15 or something like that. But out of all of the famous people I've had on this podcast, no reels have more views than Jesse's. Jesse's has a reel that's over 1 million views now. And it was about the future of incarceration and how they're utilizing this technology to change the game, as they say. Like, if you're going to lock somebody up, you don't have to physically lock somebody up for 30 years if they, commit a murder. You can actually put them into a program, and then that program simulates them being in jail for 30 years when it's actually only a handful of minutes in actual time. But during that period, they're also going through all of these rehabilitation type courses where they actually have to feel what the victim felt or what the victim's family felt. So very interesting, and it was a huge hit. I can't believe how many views it got.
And it's still...
it's still climbing.
It is still climbing.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
Every day. There's people still arguing about it and fighting over it. And it's like, well, that tells you right there, you hit a chord.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming, brother.
Yeah.
Matt, do you like to go by Matthew or Matt? Because I call you Matt.
Matt is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt's fine.
So, Matt, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Matthew Lynn Guthrie, and I'm a filmmaker. I've been doing this for, about 23 years now. It is a great love of my life. I just released a film last year called Follow the Silenced, and we're currently, right now, I've got it in a bunch of different film festivals across the planet, waiting for more submissions. I'm trying to get the word out as much as I can. But that film was a labor of love. It was an incredibly intense experience about going behind the scenes with the vaccine injured in the United States. And really, I just happened to stumble on the people that would form a group called React 19 and be sort of the forefront of the people that are fighting for truth for the vaccine injured, for their community, for them to get the health care and the recognition they deserve for their injuries. And we were lucky to win Best of Festival in Santa Monica last year, and I got my first Best Director award, which is awesome. But I'm really incredibly proud of that film. Right now, we're also working on a movie called Bad Medicine that's going to come out in a few months. That one's going to focus more on what the hospital protocols were doing to people. I think this is going to be a really interesting film as well because it doesn't damn the doctors. Yeah. It says that the doctors were working on these protocols. They don't really understand what those protocols are, but we can show exactly what that harm was. And there's a case at the middle of that about Grace Shara, this beautiful, amazing person with Down syndrome that was killed in the hospital due to these protocols. They had a trial in June. It's the first trial of its kind in the United States. And the only reason that they were even able to bring this to trial is because she didn't get any of the emergency use authorized products, vaccines, remdesivir, any of that. So, but yeah, we're hard at work on that. Have that out in a few months. But It's an honor to be here with all of you. This is kind of crazy the way that this came about, that I'm sitting here next to this guy.
Yeah, I know. Well, it seemed to work out perfectly because I was eventually going to bring you on with the documentary you made. And then Jesse, he's got a bunch of new stuff he's going to share with us that he hasn't shared anywhere yet. So I had to get Jesse on. I'm like, dude, these guys are perfect to have on at the same time. Like, it's literally, you're both working in the same world, the same realm, just from different angles. You're attacking and trying to expose the truth from different angles. Whereas, like, Jesse is here to expose, like, all of the shit that they're putting in our bodies and all of these little secret experiments that they're doing on the population without us knowing. And then Matthew, you're there trying to expose why people are dying and how they're dying and how their voices are being silenced, right? Okay. So this was perfect. Thank you guys for coming on the podcast. You've now introduced yourselves. Like I was saying, I'm really excited to have both of you on here. You've both been doing amazing things, and I know since you did the last podcast, your whole life is kind of like just blasted off. It's like you already had all this information. You just needed one platform that was able to get it out to the world, and then as soon as it did, it just sparked like a wildfire in your life. So thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you, because if it wasn't for you to give us that opportunity, and you didn't know us from a shithole in the wall.
Yeah. No, I didn't. Yeah. It was like a random message, and normally I don't check them.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever. Well,
and then getting on Alex Jones after that, and then doing the workouts. Everyone loved the workouts, especially with
Grady. Grady trying to buddy carry me. He was like, "Oh my God, how much do you weigh?" I'm like, not that much.
Yeah, and then get on Redacted, and that opened up so many opportunities. I mean, I've literally. I've been home maybe since we last met, a total of 2 weeks.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And so tell us about what you were doing over there with this documentary.
Yeah. So we were in the UK. I was invited over to help with a human subject study with regards to this Havana Syndrome, AHI, or what the bottom line cause of it is. And
who invited you? How do you get invited to do things like that?
Yeah. It was through the Masterpiece Group, and Carolyn Manson, who's a blood toxicologist. She has a lot of background experience in doing human subject studies.
Yeah,
and they were wanting to test this human MAC address issue related to the jab that. The Moderna and basically the vaccines,
Pfizer, Johnson,
and all that, and
who's they? Is this a company or is this a government organization?
No, this is all put on by Masterpiece. They wanted to show or prove that zeolite Z had the potential to extrapolate these toxic metals, these poisonous metals, specifically graphene oxide, which was found in the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. In addition to that, there was a study that came out that showed that there was silicon also in that. And what my background is as a signals intelligence person is I utilize a device which is called a nonlinear junction. It was what we used on you to scan you, what we scanned Alex Jones with. And what that will do is it will detect a percentage of silicon-based semiconductor materials. And what we did is we went and took a baseline of a group there. There was about 25 who started, and added those scores up, and the locations were all documented. And what was striking is when we did our first interview with you podcast, I only talked about symptomatic individuals, okay? And recently I had the opportunity to scan non-symptomatic people, and we held a retreat, and we invite high academic people from NASA, engineers, doctors, you name it, all a plethora of backgrounds, to come to our event so that we can educate them about this phenomenon that we have been covering since 2010, which is the Anomalous Health Incidents issue, or otherwise known as Havana Syndrome. And people, well, what is that? Basically, in 2016, our U.S. diplomats in Havana, Cuba, started having this weird onset of an acute sound being beamed to their heads. They talked about this frequency. And it was followed by short-term, long-term memory loss, severe vertigo, head pain, nausea, vomiting, vestibular issues, and more specifically, electrical shocks to the human body, mainly the torso, which the United States government has now defined as buffeting. And on May 8th of 2024, a gentleman by the name of retired Lieutenant Colonel Greg Egring gave testimony in front of Congress, Department of Homeland Security, stating that this event, this phenomenon is happening, it's real, and it's happening on our homeland, not only to the best of our best, as far as diplomats go, FBI, CIA agents, they're all being basically incapacitated and taken out of service. But they claim that this is only happening to federal employees and their family members since 2016. Now, a gentleman out of here in Austin, Texas, by the name of Dr. John Hall, who is the author of a book called The New Breed Satellite Terrorism in America, back in 2010, I met him, and we had touched on this topic because it happened to his fiance and also happened to someone who was close to me. And we talked about the symptoms. What he was doing a preliminary RF test around their person, and he was coming up with positive findings because he believed that if there was this signal being transmitted to these individuals, that there must be a way to detect it. And I said, well, that should be enough to go to your doctors and get further evaluations in the forms of MRI, CT scans, X-rays, ultrasounds. And he says, no, that's not what's happening. What's happening is as soon as they talk about the auditory symptoms, they're being railroaded into the mental health industry, further victimized, and either forced medicated or forced institutionalized. Okay? So I said, well, there's got to be a way to take this information and turn the subjectivity portion of it and turn it into objectivity, something that we can measure. And so in 2010, I held a meeting in Sacramento, California, and said, if you're having these symptoms, please come and see me. We want to talk to you. I expected a handful of people, but 100 people showed up. They all had the same complaints, all identical. And that's when we knew that we were onto something was much bigger than us, than we ever anticipated. So we started doing mass scanning in the field in culmination with gathering data in the form of surveys so that we can establish whether or not there was a propensity that someone had that would become a victim of this or not. And what the initial study showed that if you were a Caucasian female, recently single, widowed, or divorced, highly educated, that you were most prevalent to experience this, followed by Caucasian males, then African Americans in the same categories, Asians, Hispanics, and it dwindled down from there. And that was consistent all in the Midwest until we got to Chicago. African American and Caucasian flipped, and that stayed consistent all the way to the East Coast, with the exception of Virginia, where I had a bunch of military subcontractors contact me, about 100, all complaining of these same symptoms, and found out that I was doing this RF testing and asked me to come see them.
Right.
Ultimately, it took me to Europe. We were able to use an anechoic chamber. I was invited by a government agency to test their employees from that were diplomats there in the embassy. And I was asked to bring anyone who I felt that was a victim of this, that I was sure. And they allowed me to use what was called an anechoic chamber. And that is basically a robust Faraday cage. An environment that was designed to block out huge frequency spectrums between 8 kilohertz and 19 gigahertz. And we knew that the frequencies that we were detecting in the field were well within that spectrum. So it was for the first time we were in a controlled environment. We brought our equipment, used control groups, those who weren't symptomatic, because this was prior to the pandemic, and we would get 0 on our readings of our equipment for the first time. So we were really excited about that. When we introduced the symptomatic individuals in that environment, we were detecting signals. So we said, okay, now we can conclude for whatever reason we are detecting these frequencies emitting from the person at very specific focal areas around the human body. Ultimately, that led into surgical removal of non-consensual biosensors. Now, this is old technology, okay? Prior to the pandemic, I would consistently scan people who were non-symptomatic and they were always negative. Okay, post-pandemic, that is not the case anymore. At our retreat this past year, the academics who were there knew that I was testing in the field, and after I'm also a certified hypnotherapist, master hypnotherapist, and there's a reason for that, because we'll go down the rabbit hole, I'm sure, in our discussion as where this will take us. But they wanted to be tested, and so I said, sure, you're just going to come up negative. I've never seen anyone come up positive who wasn't symptomatic, and when I tested them, I was shocked.
Yeah.
Because they came up positive in the exact same specific areas that we see in the symptomatic people.
Mm-hmm. And this is post-COVID.
This is post-COVID, okay? And I began to develop a hypothesis. It was very disturbing, and I said, is it possible that the symptomatic people are the betas, the beta test, and they are turned on, and these individuals who are now coming up positive post-pandemic are not turned on yet, okay? So this is what struck my interest into helping them in the UK with this testing, because these were non-symptomatic individuals. Some have had the vaccine, some didn't. And they were all tested in the beginning, and just like what we saw at the academics, these individuals were all coming up positive in the UK in the same exact locations.
Yeah.
So 2 months later, I returned. They were given a defined dose of taking 15 drops of zeolite Z in the morning and 15 drops of zeolite Z in the evening. And post 2 months, the results were miraculous. For the first time ever in 20 years, I've never seen areas disappear. If you came up positive in a location, no matter where I took you on this planet, you were always going to come up positive in that area. So for the first time, we saw areas not only disappear, but we saw the percentages of detected silicon-based reflections that we were getting in the harmonics reduce. On average, the mean score dropped by over 80%. And so that was huge. But that's why I was asked to come and do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now you're mixing in the zeolite with the test to
Correct.
see what kind of effect it's having on.
And for the first time ever in 20 years, it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as far as the Epstein files go, like there's been some weapons that have been recovered, correct? Are you following this? As soon as I saw it on the news, I pulled up an article, just a random article, but I saw this, about a month ago, and immediately thought of you. But so this one says, this is published January 14th of this year. The U.S. Department of Defense is learning more about a device linked to Havana Syndrome, which caused a serious, mysterious ailments beginning with the United States officials in Cuba. Homeland Security paid eight figures, that's pretty expensive, to buy the device in an undercover operation. After a year of study, investigators say it emits pulses of radio waves, includes Russian components, and can fit in a backpack. There's still some disagreement if the device is behind the unexplained illnesses. These first emerged in 2016 when a cluster of U.S. diplomats stationed in Havana reported symptoms consistent with head trauma, including vertigo and extreme headaches. There have since been cases reported around the world. Officials want to find out if the other countries have access to this technology or similar device. Last year, the U.S. intelligence released an assessment in which 5 of 7 agencies concluded it was unlikely that a foreign adversary was behind Havana Syndrome injuries, according to the Associated Press. Unlikely. But yet, this weapon that they found was Russian in nature.
Well, the Russians have been far advanced in this type of technology over the U.S. for some time. A gentleman by the name of Igor Smirnov had developed a device that basically he could send microwaves or radio waves to the human brain directly into the subconscious, and he would claim and boast that you would believe it was God and you would not be able to not do what you were being told. Now, when he passed, I had the opportunity to interview his wife back in 2010. A gentleman by the name of Lars Drugard from Denmark and myself would host a radio show, and we had the opportunity to interview her. And she had sold this technology to the United States for just under $1 billion. So it's not the first time that we've done things like this. It's interesting that you talk about this microwave weapon, because recently there was a Swedish scientist, and you can pull this up, who created his own microwave weapon.
I heard about that.
Yeah. And he wanted to prove that microwaves were safe and would not have this phenomenon on you. And lo and behold, when he started using it, he caused brain damage in himself. He had nausea, vomiting, vertigo. He had the auditory symptoms. He had the reverberations, and he had irreversible damage. Irreversible damage.
Wow.
Yeah,
He
here it is.
promised to make America healthier. To make America healthier.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So, but the bottom line is the symptoms were exactly the same. Now, recently on Shawn Ryan, there was a CIA whistleblower, AJ, who, I mean, if you talk about someone who reaches the pinnacle of their profession, he was it. He was the GOAT. And he talks about these exact same symptoms that were imposed on him with a directed energy weapon. Now, in my work, I believe that there's a little bit of misinformation on purpose, a little psyops. Because now, if you recall, I see thousands of victims, not only nationally but worldwide, are constantly trying to connect with me so that I can help them with testing. Now, I've taken people 2 miles down into Granite Taverns in California, in an area called a little town called Ione, and we would still detect signals even 2 miles down in Granite Taverns.
Jesus.
So the bottom line is, what I'm saying is this: it is virtually impossible to be directing, utilizing resources in order to aim this device at this many people. Doesn't make sense.
Do you think this had anything to do with the Venezuelan capture of Maduro? Do you think, is this the device that we're talking about?
It's the same type of device, but it's being utilized by satellite technologies, in-orbit satellites, integrated with our cell towers. Recently, the FCC just lessened the distant protocols because there were restrictions on low-power devices like our Wi-Fi, our Bluetooth, and so forth. Those have all been taken away. This is all by design. This is one integrated network that is being constructed in order to transition what is in the majority of humans today. And what we're finding in our testing is that post-jab, what was in that vaccine was nanotechnology. Dr. Ido Bachelet, and we talked about this briefly in our first interview.
On a needle tip.
In a needle, 1,000 billion robots that he had just...
That's a trillion, by the way.
Yeah, a trillion robots. But he liked to say 1,000 billion.
It's because he's a nerd.
But he just brought it from his lab. And they're all programmable. They self-assemble, they self-replicate, they cross the blood-brain barrier, and he teaches his students how to control these ones that are in the host with an Xbox controller. Okay, so
Xbox just discontinued itself. By the way, I just heard about that today.
Oh, really? I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, Xbox is no longer going to be making consoles anymore.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I don't know why.
Yeah, but anyway, the bottom line is this: it looks like. We can say this, that according to our data and our studies right now, is that you have some of the population that is turned on and some of the population that is turned off. In the Scientific Neurology, they put out an article that really discusses the graphene oxide, the nanotech, the 4G, 5G, 6G technologies all being a neural weapon.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is basically where we're at today. What is in us, by definition, can change the descriptive of what we call human. Now, Homo borgenesis is the new term. And you can see there are tons of patents now that talk about utilizing our biologics to do commercial transactions, monetary transactions.
Mining crypto.
Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Wells Fargo Bank has a patent on this. Why the heck does the banking industry have patents on our biologics?
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, you asked why I was in the UK. Died Suddenly 2 is being made, Nano Sapiens, and I'm being followed around the globe. They're demonstrating my work, interviewing victims and whistleblowers alike about this technology and what they go through and what this does to a person. In addition, I was able to, by Iconic Productions, also did another short video or documentary called The Human Antenna, which I was there to help film and participate in.
When I try to explain everything that you told me on that last podcast to my friends, which I do a horrible job, I butcher it every single time. I'm like, no, but listen, just hang on, I know how to explain this. Like, and they lose interest and they're like, this is retarded. But the one thing that does catch their attention is when I tell them that, you're literally a walking, talking antenna for whatever kind of frequencies or Wi-Fi signals that they want to send through you. And, in the future, you're not going to need Wi-Fi towers anymore. They're just going to use all of us.
Yeah.
They're going to transfer all these signals through us.
You're a walking, talking node. You are the router. And
that's the one thing that they go, whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, what would really get to them is the fact is back in 1972, I have a document that was released by the U.S. Congress on how to biologically manipulate the human brain in our biosystem. And this was being experimented on prisoners, specifically in Vacaville Prison in California. And they, back in 1972, not only were they already capable of reading real-time biometrics, so your body temperature, your respirations, your heart rate, in that document it even says they were able to remotely read your thoughts. So that was in 1972. Now, in 1994, November of 1994, the New World Vistas document through a FOIA release was disclosed. And on page 89, there's a chapter in there called Biological Processes. And it talks about utilizing RF emissions not only to positively or negatively affect the human biosystem, but erase memory sets and imprint memory sets. Okay? There was recently a study done where they took 8 individuals, erased memory sets and imprinted memory sets of Disney characters that never were Disney characters.
Shut the fuck up.
Sent them to Disneyland, put these other people in the costumes of these fake Disney characters, and each and every one of those individuals, you could not convince them that these were not Disney characters. They wanted to take pictures with them, completely manipulated.
If you've had the vaccine, particularly if it's Pfizer or Moderna, you have this in you. If you had the PCR testing and you had that hydrogel that contained the graphene oxide, you have this in you. Once we realized that this is what we were facing, we were like, well, what are we going to do now?
I know you guys are able to find and remove some of these objects that are implanted in people, but with this newest stuff, you're saying it's at the nanoscale. So how are you going to remove stuff at the nanoscale?
With the nanotech, there is a solution, high-grade zeolite. Zeolite is usually found in it's sourced at 2 locations, usually blue zones, areas where humans tend to live far longer and healthier. It has to have volcanic activity where the diatomaceous earth and the sea meet, and that's where they get this pure high-grade zeolite, which has a negative charge to it. When it's integrated into the human body, what it does is it binds to the graphene oxide, and so they've done studies now where they did a baseline, exposed people to the graphene oxide, and then what they see is that after about 90 days, it'll be down to a minimal level. Most people who are on this right now are saying they're having significant improvements in how they're feeling, the symptoms that they're getting, and it's and as much as over 50%.
Wow.
So think about that. So when you want to talk to your friends, the future of our children, their cognitive freedom, liberty, able to think for themselves, be creative, is in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm out there exposing this.
Yeah.
It took 20 years. I couldn't talk about it 20 years ago because I would have been told, I'm a conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat, crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until the Bonnie Kellerby case where these biosensors were surgically removed. Now, Bonnie Kellerby was diagnosed with schizophrenia because of why? Because she told the doctors that she was implanted against her consent.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it wasn't until the surgeries were done, and now we have the smoking gun.
Yeah.
Now, in Bonnie Kellerby's case, and I wonder how many other cases out there are like hers, where the mental health diagnoses or stigma was synthetically induced and imposed upon her. And this is destroying not only immediate family members, but think about the ancillary damage, the children, your other family members, friends, relationships, because these people become isolated and desolate. And a lot of people commit suicide because there are no resources for the civilian population right now.
It really takes a special person to come forward.
Yeah.
Like back to Bonnie Kellerby, if you guys want to know, if you want to see pictures of the chips that they removed from her, like go back and look at the reels that I made that we posted from that podcast. We talked about it on the last one, but it's pretty crazy. Like it's blatantly obvious these are chips.
You know what's blowing my mind is, do you guys have much of I'm sure you do, the background in MK Ultra and exactly what they were doing in that Ultra program? I don't think a lot of people understand this about the intelligence community. But something's labeled an Ultra program, that's a classification. And if I'm not mistaken, that means that it's an extremely small group of people that have the full picture of what the program does.
So like ultra small?
Yeah, well, ultra large, but the control group is ultra small. Like I don't know if you're familiar with that film, The Imitation Game. You know, when they cracked the Nazi code. Well, that was an ultra program because it was only a small group of people. But anyway, what's fascinating is this is stuff that people have been talking about since the 1950s.
Yeah.
This was stuff in the 1950s, 60s, and early 70s as well. People were making these claims, and everybody was writing them off as insane. And I think it was about 10 or 12 years ago that a lot of the MK Ultra documents got declassified, and it was very, just hush-hush. Nobody even really paid attention. Bro, you want a nightmare? Just try to get through some of those documents. I mean, but every bit of what you're talking about was operationally in this program all the way back then.
So prior to MK Ultra was Project Artichoke.
Artichoke, yeah.
So Project Artichoke.
We literally just talked about this with Alex yesterday on the podcast.
Really?
Released, yeah.
Oh, wow.
We recorded yesterday morning, and then I released it yesterday early afternoon, and he was talking about Artichoke.
Yeah, they were, designing drugs to cause immediate effects and long-lasting effects or future effects on individuals to influence them either through their food, their water, their alcohol, cigarettes, and it even talks about vaccines.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking Christ. Let's go. What do you got?
Well, it's incredible listening to him.
I
right?
know. I'm very curious to hear are you drawing any parallels with the work you're doing?
Because here, in this story, I mean, and it just to sort of give the high view, you've got a group of people that get injured. There's people that are in the trials that are getting injured, nurses, doctors, trial participants, right? So when they get injured, they're removed from the trial. So their data is not included in all of that market research that got done to say that is safe. Like in Bree Dresden's case, all of her information in that trial was gone. Same thing for Maddie Deserie. She was in the Pfizer trial for kids. All of her data's gone, right? So you got this group of people that they find each other, they start trying to fight for each other, and they immediately go to the government to say, look, this is happening to us, and we're not getting any answers. The pharmaceutical companies and the trial site group, they're just going back and forth trying to pass the blame. We need help. So what do? They get to the NIH, the CDC, the heads of the FDA, the heads of all these agencies, and they're telling them this is happening to us. And they don't seem to be all that concerned. I mean, they're really good at gaslighting it.
Why do you think that they don't seem to be concerned? Like, as in, they don't want their organization to take blame in this? Or is this about getting sued, or is this about?
Well, so what's fascinating is throughout this entire journey of 5 years, the one question over and over again: why is it that when you bring harm, very clear harm, and I mean, we got secret recordings with the FDA, by the way. There's over a year of Zoom calls that were secretly recorded, and this is the head of CBER, the Center of Evaluation, Biologics, and Research, right? So this is Dr. Peter Marks. His job is to stamp safe from the FDA on a product. And these people, for over a year, while you were being mandated They knew that this was harmful. They had groups full of injured physicians that were meeting with them, and they're talking about the neurological side effects, the cardio, all of it. Neurology, by the way, is the center of all of this, because pretty much all of the damages that will happen to somebody, and for the most part, are happening kind of from a neurologic perspective. Over and over again, the same question comes up. Why is it that the goal is to put as many of these shots in as many arms as possible? Because harm is being identified, right? Like, we've pulled drugs in the past for just a few people dying. I mean, we've pulled flu vaccines, rotavirus vaccines, stuff for like 50 people or less that either died or had a serious adverse event. We're talking over 1 million right away. I mean, they had all of the signs for this before it was even given to the public. There was enough nurses and doctors and people that were in the trial that were injured for them to already pull it if they were actually paying attention to their safety protocols. So it goes right back to what Jesse's saying. Why? Because if what he's saying is the motive, that tracks big time. Big time.
Sure does, doesn't it?
And it does with the virus as well, because what he's, if I'm not mistaken, what you're also saying is that this was in COVID itself, which we know it was made in a lab. I mean, let's all, it's the truth.
Well, you wanted to know, you asked a question just before we got on that conversation there, as to why nothing is being done about it when it's reported. It's because it's legal to experiment on U.S. citizens without their consent.
Thanks
currently.
to Obama and Biden.
Yep.
Yep.
Under
Obama
Section
brought
3024.
it forward. Yep.
Is
and
that
then
in the
Biden
NDAA?
ratified it.
Is that in the NDAA?
It's in the 21st Century Cures Act. It's Section 3024. In there says, point blank, it is legal to experiment on U.S. citizens without their consent as long as it doesn't exceed minimal risk. And the common sense
risk.
the common sense question is, what is minimal risk, right? Well, this is the definition. Nothing that doesn't happen in normal everyday life. Does death
Which
happen?
they means that they can, exactly. So they can determine what happens in everyday life because they're the ones determining it.
Yeah. Well, does death happen in normal everyday life? It's absolutely. So now, if you are conducting an IRB for the U.S. government during that era, and because of the 21st Century Cures Act, that data is protected by national security protocols. And in 2024, before the administration transitioned, they codified it to extend it to private enterprises.
What?
So military subcontractors, teaching universities, anyone who was doing research for the U.S. government, all of that data is protected.
Wow.
That is why nothing is being done.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything that Hitler did to his own people was legal before he did it.
Yep.
They made sure that everything was legal.
Wow, these sheep are just like willingly going to the slaughter. You know what I mean? Like, we're watching this in real time. My mom, yesterday, she came to visit me, and now all of a sudden she has a blood clot. She has a blood clot on one side of her head. And so she'll never watch this. That's why I'm going to talk about it. But she came to me, and I pulled her aside. She pulled me aside because my sister was there, and my sister believes in the vaccines, and she believes in all that. And she pulled me aside to tell me privately, and she goes, "I'm sorry." She's like, "You told me." Because I was on her ass. Like, do not take that vaccine. Don't take that vaccine. You don't know what's in it. Wait to see what happens. Wait till people see what they say. She ended up taking it. Now she's got a blood clot that the doc just told her about. And she goes, "I'm sorry. You were right."
You know, Shawn, I can take all of the conspiracy out of this vaccine really easily, very quickly. The whole concept of this vaccine is that you are given instructions, right? You're not given a vaccine from some foreign thing. It's not like, you know, that we would give somebody a dead virus, right? So that dead virus exists outside of your body. So if they give that to you to tell your immune system, look out for this, that's different than what they did with these vaccines. They're giving you mRNA instructions. So it's telling your genetic code to create a pathogen. Now here's where it's tricky. That genetic code, that mRNA that's telling your genes to do this, that's your body. It's telling your body, your DNA, your physical material, make a pathogen so that your immune system will go and attack it and learn. So here's the problem. That's autoimmunity. That's why none of this should be crazy or hard to believe.
We already do that.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't practice for it. You just get sick, and then your body reacts to it. And your DNA, if it needs to change, your messenger RNAs will go in there and tell it what it needs to change, right, for the
Well,
environment it's in.
When it's autoimmunity, right, that means that your immune system is seeing your body as an enemy. So it starts attacking your body. So when they told you that they were going to put it in your deltoid and it was going to, you know, start making mRNA and then it was going to leave your body and everything is going to be fine, no, that's not going to happen, because everywhere that spike protein and that mRNA goes, it's going to hit into your tissue and then create more of it and more of it and more of it. And that's why there's people that are injured, because everywhere that this goes, it's got instructions that says, make me, make me, make me, make me. So it does. But it's your DNA, it's your tissue flying around. So everywhere that goes, your immune system sees it as an enemy, attack. Whether it's your heart tissue, your spine, your spleen, your liver, your brain, your eyes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like this never, just from a purely scientific perspective, right? Because we're all here talking about science. That's what's insane, is that they called all of this a conspiracy theory and they called it anti-science, but they never told the public what that science was.
Can you tell us a story from that documentary you made, Follow the Science? Can you tell us one of the bigger stories that was a part of that?
Some of the bigger stories.
I know you had a lot of victims in there that they were reluctant to come forward. So can you talk about any of this stuff?
Oh yeah, well, and I'd say, you know, the things that we really discovered. I mean, I didn't know that I was going to be on the inside, like in the trenches of this story while it was being developed. You know, like I didn't know that I was filming the people that were having those conversations with the FDA at first, and then once they start showing me that evidence, that's what was incredibly damning. I mean, when you can go to this, you can go to therealpetermarks.com and you can see all of these recordings and what all of this stuff means. That is one of the most damning things. I don't know if you're familiar with the DMED data, because I think I've talked to you about this in the past, but that was an insane one, is what the military did, right? Because they mandated this product on all of their soldiers. The Defense Medical Epidemiology Database, and this is like, you know, for the military, everything that they do is going to be even more rigorous, right? They're going to keep really excellent books.
Right.
So the DMED data is incredibly rigorous health data. I mean, it's incomparable to like larger U.S. civilian health data, right? The military's health data is incredible.
Right.
So what they found is when Dr. Pete Chambers and Colonel Teresa Long, who's still active and part of this, and thank God for them, because we wouldn't even know about this. They were the ones that went and captured this data from that system live, and then and you know, told Senator Johnson, told Congress. I mean, this was in 2021, so November of 2021, right? They're presenting this evidence to a congressional sort of committee and to a panel and to Senator Johnson, and they can see the level of harm, right? So you have all of these years of heart attacks, strokes, whatever it is, right? Very serious medical problems. You have years of health data prior to this. The moment they rolled out those shots, these things increased like 11,000 times. It's unbelievable. Yeah, like they had to adjust the chart to keep track of the sheer amount of injuries that were happening. And this is inside the military, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
This all branches?
All branches.
Wow.
Yes, all branches. So once they, you know, present this evidence to Senator Johnson, and he says, okay, I am going to get this data. You can't touch it, blah, 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 right? Well, 24 hours later, the entire database goes down and nobody can get access to it. And then when it comes back online, they took the prior 5 years of data and they elevated the injuries to make it look like the injuries in 2021 were not off the charts. They weren't parabolic in nature.
So they raised everything around it to make it stick out like an anomaly.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's not refuted. They have the before and after evidence.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's many stories, but that's certainly one.
Jesse, you draw any parallels off of what he's talking about?
Well, you know what comes to mind is, you know, back during the Nuremberg trials, the scientists and the experimentation that they were doing back then were hung and given a death sentence. What scientists are doing today makes that look like, and I'm not taking away from the suffering and death that have been imposed upon those victims back then, but makes it look like child's play. They would definitely be hung for what they are doing today, if it were back then during the Nuremberg trials. And unfortunately, because experimentation in our history, as far as in the United States goes, we have a long journey of experimenting on people without consent, and this is nothing new.
Yeah.
But what has been done is happening globally. There is not one continent on this planet right now where someone is not suffering from this, and that is the gravity of the situation. Now, back in 2011, I was invited to the Presidential Bioethics Commission held at the University of San Francisco Teaching Hospital, and Amy Gutman was the head appointed by Obama. Now I believe she's the ambassador to Germany at the UN. But she said in that meeting, and I was allowed to ask a question, but it was censored. They tore it up because I said, and they wanted to map every living organism on the planet. They wanted the genome process. They wanted to map it all so they can patent it. And I said, I understand the importance of your experimentation, but what safeguards are you putting aside for when your experimentation goes wrong? Right. They tore up my question, and then she turned around and said that they are the top 1% of the elite 1% that should be making decisions on what we do to our bodies because we are too dumb to make smart decisions. Yeah. That is the mentality that we're dealing with. But I would pose it this way. Because of what we know now, what they've done is no different than being a serial killer.
No. Yeah, I agree. Well, just from the Epstein files that they released, we're starting to see we're living in a much darker world than we thought we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
like,
you know, the aspect we haven't touched on.
Yeah, I don't want not to cut you off, but what you told me back months ago, I was like, wow, that's fucking crazy. And then the Epstein files dropped, and I'm like, what you said pales in comparison to the stuff that's coming out on there. It's like, if that's what they're doing, and this is just what we see. This is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
All the stuff with the kids, the pedophilia, possibly consuming human meat of kids, right? The what's the adrenochrome?
Adrenochrome. Yeah.
Right.
Adrenochrome.
They're drinking kids' blood so they can get the adrenochrome or whatever it is.
You remember Fear and Loathing?
Do you know how you get adrenochrome? Yeah. They scare the shit out of these little kids right before death, so then they can extrapolate that blood and either insert it into themselves. Or I saw a video of, I can't remember who it was. There's two old guys. They're sitting around a table with a bunch of black models, African American, black, beautiful models sitting around this table. And these models were probably in their like 20s, mid 20s. And there's these two guys that look like they're 90 years old, but you could tell they've had a bunch of plastic surgery done and stuff. And they're trying to convince these women, they're bidding on their eggs. Yeah. And then not just their eggs, but they're bidding on like for these women to have a baby, and then they abort the baby at 8 months. So then they can take all of the stem cells that are in that fetus as well as the umbilical cord, and then they can use that for themselves to elongate their own lives. And they're trying to explain why this is important and why this is necessary and why these women should sell them their eggs. So they're inserting their semen into these women's eggs. These women get pregnant, birth this baby for 8 months, and then they abort the baby at the very end, just so they can get stem cells with their DNA already mixed in with this stem cell. Like, we're living in a world full of fucking psychos, dude.
It's been that way for 10 or 12,000
years,
years, buddy.
Back in 2010, Lars Shugard and I on Ren's Radio spoke about this very topic. We already knew back then about all of this child sex trafficking, the abuse that was going on among the elites. And we were already talking about it, but it's taking 15 years later for now to be in the forefront because of the Epstein files. Mm-hmm. And you know, the aspect of what we're talking about today is these RF signals. What the intelligence agency isn't releasing is that a lot of these agents who get this auditory symptom are hearing sounds, hearing voices. Mm-hmm. And what came out in the Epstein files is that there's a page that says EMF and RF government and military technology. And it talks about an Australian corporation who is implementing this very technology on individuals and torturing them. And a lot of the victims that I talk about, particularly the females, talk about being remotely raped. And interestingly enough, back in 2010, I released a video initially called The Silent Rape. Electronic terrorism, the silent rape is what it was called. And now you look at the Epstein files and it discloses exactly what they were doing with this technology. You have law enforcement agencies that are using this against people between the ages of 15 and 50. So they're attacking children and they're destroying their lives. For what? What means? You know, this is about psychopathic idiocy. They're just selfish individuals that all they care about is themselves and their control.
Yeah, 100%.
And we're insects.
Do you think with the nanotech that's in all of us now, do you think, because this is what I worry about, ever since our podcast and everything that's being uncovered with the Epstein files, it's like we're almost learning too much too quick, and it makes me concerned that if it's not through nanotech that's already within us that they can control, I feel like they obviously have a backup plan. If they're this bold to go through these psychotic life choices and to even gloat about it and be like arrogant about it, and they obviously didn't think they would ever get caught, but a lot of them knew about it and a lot of them were covering for the other ones. With the nanotech that's within us, there's a potential to have a kill switch. These things can carry payloads. Do you think that it's possible if we learn too much, they might be like, yeah, flip the switch?
I have a hypothesis, and this is in my opinion. It may be already too late, but I'm not going to give up. I believe that God is the ultimate creator and the ultimate programmer, so I still believe that He created us in a special way, and that because of our abilities to use our imagination, to use our creativity, to use aspects of the brain that a lot of people don't even touch, but we can create solutions. So we know that the zeolite Z is possibly something on the road to, on that path, that journey to a solution. But ultimately, we know that this is programmable tech. And so we already know what the frequency is, okay? Now, the issue is if I were to collect those data packets and decipher the protocol that's being utilized, it would be very simple to come up with the antidote in the form of a computer program, a virus, so to speak, or antivirus is what I would like to say. But it is illegal for us to do that.
Of course it is.
On U.S. soil. I will go to prison. And I have a very talented team right now. We can do this in an instant, and we could disperse the cure in an instant, worldwide, globally.
Well, let's get out of the U.S. Let's go to Sweden.
So,
they let you get away with
everything. But the thing
there.
is, so we're looking at mechanisms or ways to see how can we do this legally and not be thrown in prison before it's released.
Yeah.
If you only knew somebody that had their own private satellite system rotating around the world.
Let's watch this trailer. I want to talk a little bit more about this.
Watch the official one.
Is this not it?
Nope, that's something different.
You know what? I pay for. Oh, let me sign in. Boop boop boop.
And you know what? While we're doing that, I wonder what you think of this. I feel like powerful elite people have done this. That's the full film. Go back one to that page you were on. Okay. And there's one a little bit down the page that says official. Oh.
You can airdrop. Why is it not letting me go back here?
I don't know. That's weird.
Every time Jesse's on the show, weird shit starts happening.
It's par for the course.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I feel like their plan. Yeah, official trailer. That right. One more down.
This one?
Nope, down.
This one?
Yeah, that one right there.
Okay.
That's the official trailer.
All right, let's check this out.
Largest mass vaccination sites.
I dropped everything and ran as quickly as I could and got in line.
I was excited. I was like, okay, this is going to end it.
I just figured that as Americans concerned about others, we would just do it. any way out of that situation was positive.
Maddie.
I'm proud to introduce Miss Brianne Dressen.
What cause of death is not on this map?
Thanks for returning my call.
And I did not want to be the one to give my mother COVID.
Stomach issues. Everything started 2 weeks after.
Every single day.
The worst part was I could not walk.
Couldn't move my arms or legs.
No response from my legs.
I couldn't think about moving my leg.
I can't feel my legs. I can't feel anything.
I don't want to die.
Next week is his birthday.
I want to still live for my kids.
You know what? I'm going to celebrate his birthday at.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
As social media platforms step up their effort to crack down on misinformation about COVID vaccines, some groups on Facebook and Instagram...
The truth is not out there. They've done everything they can to hide people, to hide injustices, and to even literally hide the cries of those people that are suffering.
If we try to talk about it on social media, you get banned. People don't know we even exist.
Denise Hertz is on an email string with the heads of the NIH.
These are safe and effective products.
And the CDC.
There is no bad time to get your second shot.
The heads of the FDA.
We have very good safety surveillance systems in place.
If you look at VAERS database, there are more than 1,000 neurological side effects already reported.
There were 50 to 100 reports going missing. VAERS IDs being disappeared.
There is incredible BS out there about thousands of people dying, etc. That just ain't true.
If they put down that it was a vaccine injury, they actually won't get reimbursed, so it gets labeled as anxiety.
When I brought up the fact, well, what do you think about the vaccine? Because that's the only variable.
So they said, you know what, this is all in your head.
I literally laughed and said, girl, this is all in your head.
I said, no, it's not the COVID vaccination. The vaccination is safe.
He immediately prescribed me with vertigo and a severe panic attack.
I was told I was wrong. I was told to go home, and I was told not to talk.
I told my family that I was going to end my life.
I gotta look at my son and tell him, honey, I'm gonna be okay. But in my heart, I don't know if I'm gonna be okay.
It broke my son to hear that his mom wanted to die because she had gotten a COVID vaccine.
These are human stories. These aren't people with political agendas.
If I was an anti-vaxxer, I wouldn't have been standing in the freaking line to get the shot.
So this story has everything to be interesting. You've got scandal.
FEMA had offered me money if I changed my son's death certificate from enlarged heart to COVID.
Got secrets.
The FDA wanted 75 years to release this data.
We don't have any secrets here.
You've got money.
The patent for the Moderna vaccine is owned by the Department of Health and Human Services.
Power. But the base of this story, the very center of this story is love. Because without validation, without love, without acceptance, healing cannot happen.
This is what I have to live for. I'm not going to stop this fight.
I know that I'm on the other side of the country, but I promise you, you're not alone.
People must be willing to look at us.
Because once it's recognized and acknowledged that this is happening, the conversation can start.
The battle has only just begun.
But if you want to know the truth, look at who's being silenced.
I'm not going to give up. And I'm not going to give up on these people.
Wow.
Man, that's still emotional. All these,
all
these years, man.
It's a great trailer. Let's go.
It's I can't wait for you to see it.
I know. We're watching it tonight.
Have you seen it?
No, yeah.
I'll send it to you. I can't wait for you to see it. Yeah, because it's
something stands out. You notice the uncontrollable body movements, the twitchings, and everything. There was a case where a group of teenage girls between 12 and 18 were given the HPV vaccine back in the early 2000s, and they all started having uncontrollable twitching, muscle movements, almost like Tourette's type syndromes. And it was after given the HPV vaccine, so very, very similar to what they were experiencing, and that's what really stuck out to me.
I remember that HPV vaccine. So when I was in college, it was like in late 90s, early 2000s. I'm sorry. That was 2002 to 2006 I was in college. They were pushing that HPV vaccine like all over our campus, and this was up in Wisconsin. And I was like, what the fuck is HPV? And I guess it was some version of HIV, but it was not as dangerous or not as deadly.
Human papillomavirus is what they were talking about. And that incident was the Leroy Junior High school where all the girls overnight started developing the exact same symptoms.
Wow. It says around 12 to 18 teenage girls develop sudden uncontrollable tics, vocal outbursts, jerking movements, motor spasms. Wow.
And they know that this stuff happens with vaccines. That's why when they started, developing the COVID vaccines, there was a screenshot from one of those VRPAC meetings, and it said these are the adverse events of special interest, right? Well, that went viral at the time because this was 2020, so this is well before somebody got one of these products. And they were like, well, those all sound bad. That's like death and Guillain-Barré and Kawasaki, and it's just all of these awful things, including all kinds of awful neuropathies and including MIS, multi-system inflammatory syndrome. And then sure enough, when these products roll out, everything on that list appears in the population that takes it, everybody. And they tried to dismiss that as though, oh no, we look for these because this is potential when we're giving people vaccines.
Matt, what do you say to critics that say these are rare cases that you're pointing at with the documentary?
I would say that you don't know what the numbers are, and neither do we, because those numbers were purposefully muddied.
And these are only the people that are coming forward, too.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
Well, and it's the thing that is even more scary to me, to be honest with you, is the people who don't understand that the dramatic change in their health is because of these products. There are millions and tens of millions of people in this country, God knows the world, and they have a sudden dramatic change in their health. So now all these years later, after they've gotten 1, 2, 5, 6, however many vaccines and boosters, right, from these products, they're having really intense, very serious chronic illnesses. And they don't know what happened because their doctors won't tell them, the FDA, the CDC, because that's what you learn, right? Doctors do what the regulatory agencies tell them. So a doctor's not going to identify something until the CD says it's okay to identify this now. And that's why we didn't see that, because it came from the top. And these people created this system so that the information would flow that direction. So when you have people that are coming into your doctor's office over and over and over, and you're not able to tell them, well, the things that you're experiencing are all known side effects, serious adverse events from these products, they're not getting anywhere. And that's the thing. The treatments that they're using are not getting to the problem. It's just going to, topically fix a couple of things, and in some cases actually make it worse. Because if you don't know the method of harm, you can't offer the right treatments. And that's a serious problem.
This podcast is brought to you by StopBox, the instant access handgun retention device trusted by over 500,000 responsible parents. Patented hand gesture code lock gives you lightning fast access with no electronics. Made in the USA, the most reliable, secure place for your firearms. Go to StopBoxUSA.com and use code Shawn10, that's SHAWN10 for 10% off. StopBox, rapid access when you need it most.
I found it funny or interesting that you won best, what was it? Best
of Festival and Best Director.
Best of Festival and Best Director in Santa Monica.
Yeah, well, that's because
my sister lives there, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I found that very interesting because that is like a different world in California over there.
You're right. And
a film about how vaccines are dangerous and killing people, or not just vaccines, but the actual COVID virus itself. I found that interesting how even in California, the citizens recognize that this is causing issues. And I was going to ask you what kind of hurdles you've encountered along the way, or any sort of resistance to getting this documentary out because of what the message you're sending.
Yeah, no, great question. Well, the reason we were able to get in with Santa Monica was the director of that festival is a very wonderful person named David Katz and his wife. They're amazing people. I think they've been awake to stuff for a long time. So they're invested in the truth, right? And I mean, I always keep saying the truth matters no matter what it costs. And the truth is just what it is. And when you care about it, you're going to do anything you can to provide that to people. But I would say, to be honest with you, bro, I've been shocked at the fact that this film hasn't reached people. To be honest with you, it kind of seems like we've reached a point where the story itself is dangerous to the left and the right. And the thing that gets me about left-leaning Democratic people on this, these are your people. These are all of the people in this film would all have said that they would have voted Democrat.
Exactly. They all took the vaccine.
They signed up. Like Bree and Maddie were in the trial, right? So these are people that their love for people, their compassion for people, their commitment to do the right thing and step up and answer a call, and they got hurt, and then they got abandoned, and they got abandoned by their very community.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I really believe, and when you see this film, you'll see what I'm talking about. When you can unpack the last 5 years from their experience, and you see the window of the people that had this harm happen to them, and then they went to social media asking, "Is this happening to anybody else?" and they get censored and suppressed. I mean, when Facebook started destroying all of the anti-vax, they said it was misinformation, right? And they start taking down vaccine videos and all that. That was one day after that press conference that you see in that film that happened in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
24 hours of that press conference, and social media starts axing people. And I mean, they axed private groups, right? So you'd have a private little, messaging group of people. Facebook would come in and destroy that group, remove it completely.
No talking.
Yeah,
No.
and that hurt people. There were people that died because of that, because they lost the only support group they had. So I'm still fighting it. I mean, I'm still trying to get this message to as many people as I can.
Well, we'll get it out.
Yeah, thank you.
It'll get out eventually. I think God plays a hand in everything, and right now, everything that's getting exposed with the Epstein files, and it's chaos right now. Everybody's like, "Dude, what is going on right now?" I mean, my kids, I have teenagers, and they're sitting there going, "Dad, what is all this stuff? Is this real? This can't be real, right?"
Well, and like people us.
I want to be protective and be like, "No, don't worry about this stuff." And I'm like, I don't know, right? Very concerning.
Well, cognitive dissonance is exactly what's happening, and this is what you're saying, and that's what people are experiencing. When you have lived your entire life, or the majority of your life, believing a certain concept, and you find out that it's all been a lie, your foundation that you've built everything, your belief systems, your morals off of, are completely gone, and so you're completely confused and disarray. So the human psyche naturally gravitates to what's comfortable. But to remain silent and not do anything, you're just as culpable. So everyone out there who's watching this podcast and listening, if you're not doing this for you, at least speak up for your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your genealogy to come, because that's really what this represents and what this story is about now. It's about their cognitive liberties, their freedoms, and their ability to remain human and use all of our God-given gifts. But that's being taken away. They want to create an AI God. And, to go deep down the rabbit hole, we know that there's an AI aspect of this phenomenon. Before we opened the podcast, I showed you what was sent to me about the implants.
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Well, this is allegedly over the past few years, Mossad.
This is very interesting, and it definitely relates to what's going on right now.
Undercover agents infiltrated as doctors and dentists in Iran. The dentists gave priority to key military and elite Iranian personnel while doing routine dental checkups. They implanted tracking devices as fillings for cavities. On the other side, gastro doctors implanted similar devices in their elite patients. Yesterday, Mossad knew exactly where each one of them were and sent missiles at them. Over 400 elite military and government personnel were eliminated in the first few moments. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they knew he was hiding when Israel attacked.
That's how they knew exactly where they were.
That gave me chills when you showed that to me.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about a weapon system that goes through phases, right? So this stuff was developed in the early 20th century. It moved into testing in individuals and all kinds of programs in the middle of the 20th century. And here we are in the early 21st century. And the stuff that people have said you're a conspiracy theorist for decades, black and white.
Yeah. Well, it goes, well, I spoke with Shawn about this because I wanted to know when this episode was going to be released. I'm about to interview a whistleblower who is CIA level, who had come to me and reached out after, all of, my podcasts that I've been out there educating the world about. And he says to me, Jesse, I'm so glad because he goes, when I heard you, I knew you got it. And he says, this is why I'm reaching out to you and I want to help the world. And what he's disclosing to me, you know, we talk about not only, what he disclosed to me is that as an agent, as an asset, he was ordered by his handlers, his superiors, that he had to take on this new communication system. And this communication system is exactly this phenomenon that we're talking about, but they called it a communication system. They wanted him to basically throw away traditional methods like drop boxes and the way the intelligence agencies operate in order to communicate with each other, and completely go to this synthetic telepathy system is what he called it. And he said he didn't know what he was signing up for. He thought, you know, that this was a unique way to keep agents safe, particularly if they were exposed, that this communication system would synthetically, telepathically communicate in real time. Basically, it's down to a nanosecond in latency. But what he said he didn't understand, and they were making agents take on this new communication system, he says if they fell out of line or didn't follow directions or orders, that they would be tortured. This is exactly what each and every one of the victims have been claiming.
Sounds like Game of Thrones.
Yes.
I just rewatched that with me.
So, you know, you're going to release this after we interview him, but he's a hero in my book.
Absolutely.
We need more people like him. And they're coming out. I now have doctors all over the world who are wanting to learn my methodology, which is great because now we're actually doing more peer-reviewed studies. And basically, these doctors are all looking for a cure. And I think that's a positive in the terribleness in all of this.
Have you guys tried to integrate AI into what you're doing?
Absolutely.
How so? What do you got? Are you keeping it a secret? Let that smile.
No, we are using AI.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, that my group has developed software that's completely going to change the intelligence agencies and how they operate.
How so?
There will not be an environment that anyone who's doing surveillance in any way, they will not be able to escape us detecting it within seconds.
Really? So you'll be in live time?
Live time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a statement right there.
That's pretty gangster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come and get us, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I love it.
Jesse, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you remember, how familiar are you with Bob Lazar's story?
I'm familiar with Bob.
Yeah. So do you remember what Bob said when he went in to be inducted into the program and the security protocols that he had to go through, where he was being injected with substances and he was placed in this room, and they said that this was to prevent him from disclosing certain information because you would be sick, like you wouldn't be able to. The moment that you started to talk about anything, you would be hit with really intense nausea and headaches and all the kind of stuff that you're describing. That's what Bob was talking about in the 80s.
This is what this whistleblower is talking about.
It all sounds too familiar. I was like, man, that sounds like Bob.
You can pull it too. These things straighten out so that you can get it right up there underneath you.
So here's the bottom line. There's no such thing as privacy once you're infected with this.
Yeah.
Your thoughts are no longer private. What you see, your environment is no longer private. Nothing.
I'm going to be honest with you. I got COVID bad. Like, I'd almost killed
Right
me.
now?
No, not now. Not now. I'll be honest with you guys. I got COVID right now.
You gotta drink some more whiskey.
It's fucking bad.
I heard this will fix it.
Give me some more.
What the fuck?
Way to go, Guthrie. God damn. That's funny. No, I got really bad version of it, like Delta, and I thought I was gonna die. I mean, it was really, really. It was the only time in my life I've been actually scared about that stuff. But I'll be honest with you, ever since then, I'm not the same. I notice it. I notice physically. I notice mentally sometimes, and I'm even checking in with myself. I'm like, where is this
Like
coming
how so?
from?
What do you mean?
I mean, hell, I'll just share personal stuff, but it's. I noticed that, like, I used to be a lot calmer. Like, I wouldn't get anxiety or anything. Like, something wouldn't hit me in a way like it does after COVID.
What kind of anxiety are you getting?
I mean, it's almost like your brain feels accelerated, right? Like, it's like there's something spinning up and spinning up and spinning up, and you're like, okay, let me calm us back down. Let's calm that back down. And find myself having moments where I'm like, what is that? Because I don't really know what that is. I mean, and obviously, respiratory and some other stuff, but we know that was in COVID. So everybody that got a serious infection where it was replicating to the degree that, like, it was with me, this is what's potentially happening, isn't it?
Correct. And the objective, they can induce anxiety. What I tell people, the best defense is being educated about the phenomenon that it exists. Knowing what your true inner voice is, knowing what your moral compass is, and knowing when you have these intrusive thoughts or experiences that you know that are not congruent to who you are.
Yeah.
That is a clear sign, but it enables you in order to stop it. And that's the thing. Most people are walking around asleep.
Yeah,
they
not
have
even
no clue.
aware.
Not even aware. And so how many people are being manipulated? We talk about the Myron May, who, killed 12 people in the Navy Yard, and he inscribed ELF in the butt of his rifle, extremely low frequency. And then I had, Aaron Alexis was the soldier who did that. Myron May was the attorney out of Florida who contacted me. They both contacted me and expressing the same symptoms. But Myron May, I thought, was going to go and sue someone when he says, I got bigger fish to fry. He ain't got time to go through the process. And he went and killed people at the research lab at the university. But my point is this. How many people are out there being influenced and not realizing it? The reality is that this technology exists. It's here and now, and we've been doing this for a long time. The church committee disclosed everything that was happening in the out of the MK Ultra, how they were not only experimenting on people without their consent, inducing anxiety, causing people to be depressed, trying to get people to be hypervigilant.
What do you mean the church community?
The church committee.
Oh, church
in
committee.
the 70s, yeah.
Yeah, this was the church committee hearings were investigations into the atrocities that were attributed to MK Ultra and all the sub-projects.
Committee.
Yeah.
But what is that? Like,
it was established in 1975 through 76, and it was a committee by the U.S. Senate, and they did investigations. It was the United States Senate Select Committee to study governmental operations.
So it wasn't
with
actually
respect
churches.
to the intelligence.
It wasn't like religious group.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no, it was Frank Church.
Okay.
He was a congressman. He was a Democratic senator from Idaho, and that's what the church committee's hearings were based off of. They used his name.
Okay.
But all of this was disclosed. Yeah, all of this was disclosed.
Was this also? This was also the same one where they were talking about the heart attack gun and everything else from the CIA. Right?
Correct.
Like, yeah. So this is all kinds of incredibly nefarious, counterintelligence operations the CIA had been running for years and years, and it basically a lot of it went on trial.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, no. But that they came about, and because of wrongdoings by our government and our government agencies, because there was no oversight. And unfortunately, we're dealing with this once again, and there's no oversight because all of the data is protected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and if you put everything under these giant blankets of national security, then you don't have to get to it.
What do you think is going to happen when quantum computers take over?
I think they already are.
There's no more secrets. There's no more. Yeah, none of that. Like, we're getting it all. We're going to get it all. Hackers are going to figure out how to use these quantum computers, and it's all going to come out. If we got the tip of the iceberg now with the Epstein files, imagine if this is what we know, imagine what we don't know.
What you don't.
How many Epstein Islands are out there?
Yeah. Do you know what he was really doing when you talk about even Manhattan? They were purposely causing trauma to people in order to experiment on them to see how they can make them more receptible to believe lies.
Yeah.
And this is no different than what was being done back in Mengele, Joseph Mengele.
Yeah.
You know, when they were inducing trauma in people in order to try, particularly twins, in order to split their personalities so they can reprogram them. You know, create Manchurian candidates so that you can use a certain create a certain anchor, then cause a trigger to get them to go and do something at a subconscious level and not remember it. I mean, these are all experiments. But if you read through the files, that's exactly what they were doing.
You know, I have a gentleman that I'm developing his life story, and he is one of them. He was one that was created in the naval birthing programs, born in a test tube in 41. Everything that you're talking about, he's from that program. He's one of the earliest members. He's 84 years old right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not to shift topics, but this has been bugging me since I've seen it. Have you guys seen the new Jim Carrey? The Jim Carrey clone? Like, I feel like this is a weird social experiment that's going on right now. Like, this can't be real. Did you see this yet, Jesse?
Yeah, it looked like he had a lot of bad plastic surgery.
But he doesn't. That's not who Jim Carrey is. He doesn't believe in that shit at all.
Really?
Yeah, and he's completely against the establishment. All this shit that like we're talking about today. Like he's very much in the know about this stuff.
So speaking of today, I have not been able to check the validity of this yet, but I did see a news story when I woke up this morning that Jim Carrey's daughter was hit in a car accident, like very bad car accident today or yesterday.
Really?
Yes. That's what got me a little nervous because, you know, some of those things you could maybe dismiss it. It's odd. There's definitely some.
Well, somebody who could corroborate that this is not her father.
Well, that's what's bizarre to me.
Look at this video.
The timing of that.
Look at this.
Oh, it's a wonderful feeling. I really took on a pretty big challenge.
So first off, he doesn't like going to shows and receiving awards. He's not one of those actors that gets off on this shit. And here he is. Look at his eyes. He's got blue eyes in this video. I'm going to show you, after this is over, I'll show a side-by-side comparison. Look at this.
Trying to do my speech in French. So, you know, I wrote it and I researched it and I practiced it like crazy. But, you know, it's, then I watched everybody, like, talking 1,000 miles an hour up there, receiving their awards. And I was like, I'm dead. And I made mistakes and I was like a novice. But I felt a lot of love, and I felt a lot of appreciation that I tried, and what I said was true, and I really wanted to recognize my family. I wanted to recognize my dad. I mean, my dad was the type of person that if you met him for 5 minutes, you felt like you knew him for 50 years. You know?
Yeah. So now, look at this. Zoom out here. Let's see if we get back. Look at the image, the side-by-side comparison here.
I saw this earlier today, I think. You're talking about his eye color in these two just looks so different.
Look at the difference in his face.
Is he wearing contacts? It could be colored contacts.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
But the reality is, you know, the crazy thing is
there is definitely a difference, though. I mean,
Look at his eyes here.
Well, and I saw some people. I think some of this was earlier, but I know one of the side-by-sides that I saw earlier was like a 20-year difference. Like one was like 2006 to 2026. I'm like, yeah, we all probably look a little different after 20 years.
This looks about normal. This looks like probably more of a recent picture here. He's got a bunch of lines in his face. Look at the difference here.
Yeah.
Look at those eyes.
Well, and with the separate,
those are not the same eyes at all. Even if you had a little bit of work done, but he doesn't need work. Like, that's not him. Have you ever seen any of the old videos where he's talking shit about the establishment?
Oh, you mean Jimmy, when he goes on Jimmy Kimmel's show and calls out the Illuminati?
That shit up.
I know. I mean, there a lot of stuff in Jim's life started going pretty haywire, if I'm not mistaken, after that.
Let's see if we can find this. Here it is.
Yeah,
right
that
here.
one. Yeah.
Watch this shit.
Number 2 opens tomorrow. Please say hello to
They're gonna steal all the money I could potentially make on this now because I'm airing this, but they can go fuck themselves. That's what happens when you play their video on your show.
Oh, YouTube, really?
Yeah. No, they have clauses in their contracts where, like, if I use their video, now they can take my money that I make off of my video.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is after Jim had a big awakening himself.
I hate Jimmy Kimmel.
Is that a
He's
gang
done some awful
sign?
stuff.
Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
When was this? Was this like pretty recent?
It's the symbol of the all-mocking tongue.
It's
And
prior
I'm
to
sick
COVID.
of it. I want everybody to be in on the joke, man. You know what I mean? Like, for years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know, when they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things, and, you know, and you know, look at him trying to cover it up. It's hilarious.
This isn't a bit.
And, you
No.
know, and I'm sick of, hold on a second. You know what they're trying to do? Who? This thing is buzzing. Hold on. They're trying to turn us into, you know, consumer drones of some sort. Hold on, I just got to get this.
And yeah.
Oh, and this.
Yeah, listen, I'm in the middle of blowing the lid off some.
Maybe it's a little bit of a bit.
What happened?
I'm sorry, Jimmy. I was temporarily interrupted by my iPhone 6 Plus.
I do love Jim a lot.
That's a big one, huh?
5.5 heads-up HD display. I think what I was really trying to say was I think people will enjoy Dumb and Dumber this weekend.
And that is what I thought.
Oh, that's right. That's what
Yeah.
So did
It's
you
a plug.
Did you see Gore Verbinski's new movie? I just watched it, and you guys have got to see it.
What is this?
Good Luck, Don't Die. What was it? Or Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die?
Let's see this.
Watch the
Well, first off,
brilliant.
that. So
Yeah.
the picture I showed you, the video of the guy accepting an award, you think that's the same guy?
Well, they definitely look drastically different.
Ain't no fucking
Yeah.
way that's the same guy. There ain't no way. I almost feel like this is like a stunt double, and this was either a hoax by Jim Carrey trying to have a good time, get a laugh out of this, but that's not the same guy. It can't be the same guy.
There's something definitely wrong, off for sure.
Yeah, it's almost like they're telling us exactly what they're doing. It's right in front of our eyes.
Well, Hollywood's always planting
Isn't
seeds,
there?
right?
There's a new Steven Spielberg movie coming out soon.
Disclosure Day.
Disclosure Day.
Yes, sir.
What a coincidence! Trump says they're going to disclose all the information. What do you guys think about this?
Well,
the alien stuff coming up.
I mean, I know that you've heard this too, right? Spielberg's father was high-level Air Force, so the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind is based on a real operation and a real program that would be kind of interesting if he got wind of this. You know, there's always been the story that Spielberg showed that to Ronald Reagan, you know, once the film came out, and that Reagan stood up after they watched the film and he said, there's a handful of people in this room that know how true every single thing in that film is.
No shit.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's coming. I mean, they're going to do this in stages. I don't know how much of this is going to come out. I actually have somebody for you to interview. I have a friend
on that.
I have a friend that was in the secret space program.
Really?
Yes, and I know he's telling me the truth, and I will introduce you to him. Yes,
Well, you know, I didn't I didn't know what to think about the secret space program or the super soldier program until last year. Was it last year? It was around last year. I used to be in the diamond industry, and I sold a diamond ring to the daughter of a very famous scientist on a program that's covers a ranch out in Utah. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know what I did away from the diamond industry. And him and I became friends. And there was this 1.6037 gigahertz frequency that they were trying to figure out where it was coming from, because it was causing havoc amongst all their equipment. And with my background and abilities, I sent them a video. I go, here's your 1.6 gigahertz frequency, and it's coming from this satellite. Happened to be a Russian satellite. And I sent him real-time video of it. And then he goes, how did you know this shit? And I said, well, there's something I haven't shared with you. And I asked him, I said, hey, he was also special ops. And he's, well, I don't want to get him in trouble without saying too much. He said, I asked him one time, I said, hey, there's this frequency we're detecting on a special ops guy. Myself and Dr. Greer he has another case, the same frequency. But the strange thing is it goes back to NATO. Can you ask anyone on the team if they know anything about this frequency? And he says, when I asked, it was crickets in the room. No one wanted to talk. And then I disclose, hey, I haven't been completely honest with you. Here are some images of some biosensors that have been removed from people. And then he says, Jesse, I'm going to have to distance myself from you.
Ooh. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Grizzly Coolers, the only cooler I trust when I'm out there. Roto-molded, bear-proof, and holds ice for 10 days straight. And unlike the overseas knockoffs, every Grizzly is proudly made in America with American steel and American grit. Hit grizzlycoolers.com and use my code Shawn, that's SHAWN, for 15% off. Grizzly Coolers, built here, built tough.
And he says, you better have a secondary plan because they're going to kill you. And he says, this is secret. This is super soldier shit.
Yeah.
Damn. You know about this?
I mean, I might know some of this tangentially, yeah. But
yeah. And I'm like, dude, you're a freaking stud. What are you afraid of? This is completely unlike what I would have expected of you. Mm-hmm. You know, your personality type, my personality, we don't back down from shit. We don't care what it is. You just don't back down.
He was scared of this, though.
He was scared of this, and it puzzled me. But, I guess people are just made up differently.
People, I think one of the problems that people have of being able to entertain how real this is, like Jesse was saying a minute ago, right? Like, so much of this stuff started in Nazi Germany. I mean, Hitler's scientists were working on all this stuff. Where do you think that research went?
Oh, yeah,
it
we
didn't
took their
stop.
sciences.
Yeah, we took every bit of it.
We gave them amnesty, right?
Yeah, and we changed their names and everything else. Yeah, so we took the entire research and development element of the Third Reich, and I mean not just one part of it, all of it.
All of it, yeah.
All of it. Science, mind, technology, anti-gravity, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they were doing came right into the United States.
Well, who's the one that got us to the moon, allegedly?
Oh, you mean Werner? Werner von Braun?
Werner von Braun.
Yeah.
He was Hitler's right-hand man.
He created the V-2 rockets.
Yeah.
Now, that's an incredible thing about history, right? Here's a guy that creates a rocket that destroys London, and within a few decades, it's taken us to the moon.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not a sign that we can take something awful and make something good for it.
Do you guys see any potential positive outcomes from all of this scary shit that we're recognizing now in your industries? Can you see any silver lining to any of this stuff?
I feel like we're kind of seeing it now, right? Because like you said, the first step is acknowledgement. You can't you can't fight what you don't see or what you don't accept as real.
Mm-hmm.
So step one to correcting this problem is that, right? Because all the programs that we're all talking about here, it all is based on our ability to see it. So we're going to comply with a program that we don't even know is there, right? So we're not giving consent because we're not supposed to. So the moment that you start to take ownership of that, I think that's the first step to anything being solved.
Yeah, I just don't want to leave the audience with doom and gloom with everything. And, you know, I'm curious, do you see anything, Jesse, in your world where this could potentially get better now?
Well, I think the first goal is to wake up at least 10% of the global population. Once we do that, then the domino effect will start to happen just by virtue of how things work.
Do you see anything changing?
That's a tough question right now.
You know I like to give you tough questions.
Well, that's a tough one because, you know, we're making headway. There are heroes that are now coming through the woodwork that are stepping up in the form of medical doctors and scientists and engineers and politicians. But it is going to take another church committee, Church 4.0, to happen. And I know that there's some talk that they're reopening a new intelligence committee to investigate MK Ultra again.
Really?
Yeah. That was just disclosed a few days ago. So, you know, we're slowly making our way and waking up the world. Now the mega churches have invited me to start talking to their congregations. That's going to be a huge propellant in at least getting everyone to wake up.
That's interesting.
Because let's talk, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm calling this the Mark of the Beast tour. And that's what this is.
Yeah.
This is the Mark of the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that this was imposed upon us non-consensually. Okay? And so we have to have some serious discussions among the world leadership. And science and the laws have not kept up with each other. Technology has exponentially grown in a way that our forefathers never could have thought.
Yeah.
That the human mind would be breached, that our thought processes would be breached and manipulated. I'm a hypnotherapist. My voice is a frequency, but now technology has basically captured this frequency technology and been able to utilize it in a way that we can't see or even fathom unless you're taught about it.
Yeah.
Unless we're doing what we're doing here today, having this discussion. But, you know, as long as we can do that, I still believe that, you know, God is the ultimate programmer, like I said earlier, and that we will prevail. Things like the masterpiece, the zeolite, you know, people can get that from you and your website.
Yeah.
I think right now, after what I just discovered, and we'll leave the studies here and I'll leave you the graphics, of really the huge increase or decrease in the amount of symptoms that people are having and the locations that they're lighting up now after taking it is imperative. It's not a complete cure yet. We want to see that down to zero. I want to see the day that I can go and scan people who are not symptomatic and they come up negative. I want to see the day that we're able to come up with a mechanism in order to make this stuff inert. But I think the combination of the Zeolite Z, the masterpiece product, and the work that we're doing with our team and others who are reaching out now, you know, there's hope. Yeah. And as long as there's hope, we've got a fighting chance. But it takes every one of you out there who are watching right now to wake up, to understand that this is real and that we need to fight for our children. If anything, look at the atrocities that we're looking in the Epstein files. Who would harm innocent children? Okay?
Apparently a lot of people.
Well, and I'll say this, and people aren't going to like this. If you're out there watching this podcast right now, and you stay quiet, you're just as complicit as those people who have been doing those horrible things to those
100%.
children.
Yep.
Yeah. It's going to take each and every one of you, particularly if you're a parent, you know, you better stand up and you better fight and you better be knocking on doors. I don't care what it is, what you do. You raise your voice, you raise your hand, you educate, and you proliferate this message to society, whether it's decision makers, a friend, a neighbor, I don't care who it is. You need to start disseminating this information, and we need to wake everyone the hell up now.
Well said. That was beautifully said.
You know, and ultimately, you look at all these programs, right? Everything that we're all talking about. What's the common denominator? The mind, right? Like, the mind has been the battlefield for this last 120 plus years now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been going through it with COVID. You know, we're seeing all kinds of counterintelligence, you know, operations that are being deployed on American citizens, everything that you're talking about. So it all goes down to awareness. I mean, we're entering this realm where we could get to a point, according to Jesse's work, where we're unable to think freely. And I think that there's been some really powerful people in this world for centuries that have been working on a plan like this, right? Because one thing I think that same group figured out in World War II is you can't build a prison and put people in it because it won't work. People will either, you know, take you over and stop that from happening, or it'll come from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see the wall, it's different. What Jesse's talking about is creating a prison system for every human being, and you will never know that you're in a cage, ever. You will be incapable of identifying the bars. I mean, that's the ultimate battlefield. And people have to understand that the group that's being exposed right now, that's who's doing this. And they're at the heads of every major government. They are the people that pull the strings at every intelligence agency on this planet. And this is not a new problem. This has been a problem for 100+ years.
Yeah.
And here we are in 2026, and now we are just able as a society to start to talk about it without being called a conspiracy theorist, because people have been saying this for decades just to be dismissed. But now, today, sitting here, it's a different story. So there is hope. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if you look at the Bible, if you look at what these things say, it's that people will reclaim, right? Like, we will find our sovereignty again. We will stop this. And he's right. I mean, everything he's talking about, this is stuff that existed prior to COVID, and now it exists on a level that it's kind of impossible to sort of grasp the size of it post-COVID.
Yeah.
That's an operation. That's an intention. And the only way that we're going to fix that is if we really start banding together, because they want us to be divided. They throw out crap for you to be ideologically divided so that you can't do anything, right? So the more you're splintered, the less you can do. And that's why they keep all of this crap on social media sometimes of finding an issue to be divided on. That's why they do it.
Yeah. Yeah, keep us distracted, right? Yeah. Well, we're in for it, and I'm glad there's people like you guys that are out there fighting the good fight for us. A lot of people don't have time for this shit. At least they don't think they do. And then, you know, they're oversaturated with work and taxes and bills, and they're overwhelmed, right? The price of gas, the price of groceries. Fuck, man, you go to the grocery store and it's like, I got half a cart of food and it's $300.
I know.
Like, you know, like I had high hopes when Trump came in. He's like, oh, we're taking in all these tariffs. Look how much money we made. It's like, when are we going to see the effects of this? You know, like, obviously that's small potatoes on the grand scale of things. But those little things do have an effect on all of us. And yeah, I'm excited, curious, and scared all at the same time to see what comes next from everything. We are in an age of disclosure, and now on top of all this crazy shit, they're like, hey, by the way, we're gonna tell you about the aliens too while we're at it.
Well, and that's going to be a trap.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
That's going to be a
Well, it
trap.
just seems like a huge distraction.
Well, I work on my team is an Israeli, and he's very talented in what he does. He's in the top probably 1% in the world in what he does. He tells me an experience where he was in Israel and he was with all the top generals. And they said they are the ones who rule the world. They are the ones that can make anything and manipulate anything in this globe to happen.
Who are they?
He was talking about the generals that he was with in the room. and they were all drinking. And he thought they were joking. He says, we can even make everyone believe that we're being attacked by aliens.
Oh, you're talking about Blue Beam. That's that right there, what he just said. Nothing scares me more than that. Nothing frightens me more than Blue Beam. Blue Beam is something that people have talked about for 30 plus years, that essentially technology, and this goes back to the 80s where people were talking about this, if not earlier, that we had technology that would allow us to use holograms, right, that are so dense and so real, you would never be able to tell that it isn't, right? So if you have, let's say, platform craft, right, that has a hologram around it to make it look like it's an alien craft, and it's firing directed energy weapons that have been around for 50, 60 years, but you've never seen them as an American public, then it'll look like aliens are attacking cities. And they can be regular craft that's not, we do have the ability. I mean, our government has had reverse engineered craft for a long time. My friend that I'm told you about, he told me the first time the government got a hold of a craft was 1890. That's how early that goes back, right? Wow. If you go back and look at the history of the early 20th century, there were people that talked about canceling out and controlling gravity prior to World War I. Yeah, this is like a piece of history that's just lost to us because that information was kept from us. But that's the idea, is that they could use the threat of an extraterrestrial threat to shut down world governments, right? So there would just be one single government, because if you can dismantle and destroy, right, enough of those governments' ability to do anything, then it's like, UN 2.0, or it's one government that owns everybody. And that is, I mean, again, people have just been saying, oh, you're crazy for saying such a thing, and here we are. Yeah. And the setup is here.
The end times, right?
Well, here's the crazy thing is we paid for it.
Yeah, we did.
Our taxes paid for the very thing that is going to enslave us. Unlike anything we've ever seen in the human experience. Yeah. Skin color doesn't matter anymore. We're all slaves. And this is profound. We are the only species that has to pay to live. Let that sink in.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah. Well, hate to end it on a gloomy note, but...
Watch your science fiction, kids, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah. Well, at least baseball's starting soon, guys. We can distract ourselves from all of this. Thank you guys both for coming on. Please let the audience know where they can find you and what you got coming.
Yep. You can find, if you think this is happening to you or a loved one or a friend, you can contact us at mindnexuslive.com and just leave us a little note. My team, Grady and Deserie, are amazing. They will answer everything, and we will definitely guide you and coach you in the right direction.
And where was that?
mindnexuslive.com.
Okay. Matt?
Yeah. You can find Follow the Silenced. It is free for everybody to watch, and we encourage you to download it and share it. That's it's a protocol that Mickey Willis has invented with the pandemic, and it was incredibly successful. So you can go to followthesilence.com and watch the film there for free. And we're going to have a new film out probably in 2 to 3 months. I'll let you know when I get a better idea on the date.
Okay.
That's Bad Medicine, and that's going to be about what really happened in the hospital protocols. And that's coming soon.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Hey, can I also just say, bro, I don't know how to say thank you, because the first time that I met you, and I was just glued to you when you were talking to me about this, because I understood what this was. I don't know how to say thank you, and I know that people in this world, when they get an opportunity to understand what you're doing, they're going to understand the singular nature of the work that you're doing. If it wasn't for you, I don't think we're going to have a future. So I love you, brother. God bless you, and thank you so much for standing up and being yourself, because you got to carry this torch, man. You really do, and I thank you for it.
Wow. Well, it's going to take a village. We need people like yourselves, Shawn, Alex, everyone out there to keep, shouting, keep tooting the horn.
Yeah, we'll keep yelling. Eventually they'll listen.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thank you guys. Love you guys. Bye, everybody.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?